on that one. We are back. Have some patch notes to look at now, finally, after we got that figured out. And lots of big things coming in this update. So we'll just kind of just jump right in. Thank you, Kareem the Dream. I appreciate you being patient with me here. I think we've got audio now. Hopefully you can hear me just fine. Had some settings that I had to go all the way back into Windows to fix. So, but hopefully everything's good now. So we'll just kind of start back from the top here. So there's 8 new shotgun formations to a total of 35 teams. So we've got bunch quads open, deuce twins over, slot F wing, split pro far, split pro near, tight Y off flex, wing H back or HB weak close, and wing slot over have been added to the game. So you got 8 new formations, which obviously that'll just be something worth going in and checking out in every playbook. It looks like NC State and Liberty were the 2 teams that had the most added to their playbook. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Tuning and logic enhancements for pursuit angles. So this was a big one. Lots of issues with not just in my own personal gameplay, but lots of issues online that we saw from this. So they introduced new behavior that further differentiates players with high pursuit ratings versus lower. So you're going to have a lot of new looking pursuit angles, which will be nice. And the devs also pointed out that they'll be monitoring feedback on that to see how it impacts gameplay, and they could adjust that later on as well. So that'll be good. Reduced frequency of broken tackles from trailing defenders. So this one is something that you've seen all over the place. Lots of videos on this where guys just lose their minds breaking controllers, just absolutely losing it because they can't seem to get a guy down. So that has been that's been fixed. Fixed various instances of rare broken play bugs. So I'm assuming this is kind of those plays where the football ends up pretty much just portaling like 30 yards behind the line of scrimmage on the snap, which I've had that happen to me a couple of times. So that it sounds like those have been fixed. Fixed issues where certain formations had offensive players aligned too wide when the near went on near and far hash. So just more alignment issues been fixed. Fixed an issue where you could not use 4-2-5 or 3-3-5 formations in a custom playbook. 3-3-5 is a really strong, popular defense, so that one will make a lot of people happy. Fixed an issue where single back formations would be assigned the wrong name when creating a custom playbook. Fixed an issue where spiking the ball in online mode was not working as part of the turbo tempo system. So obviously that ruins the entire point of running turbo there if you can't even spike the ball. Fixed an issue so speed option running back will follow the quarterback for a longer period of time, so that'll be good. Adjusts AI quarterback behavior on shot plays to make more lob passes versus bullet throws. Adjusted AI quarterback behavior to be less aggressive based on their awareness rating. Adjusted AI offensive line behaviors resulting in less illegal man downfield penalties during RPO style plays. Yes. 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 This is a big one. I had this happen so many times when you're making the read on a post or a slant and have it called back after making the right read because your lineman's 8 yards downfield. That's been fixed. So that's huge. Adjusted a defensive back's ability to more effectively shed blocks on the perimeter. So that's definitely going to cut down on the effectiveness of your jet sweeps and things like that a lot of people have pretty much just been spamming to win games. Adjusted or increased the speed penalty for running out of stamina during the play. So you're not going to see guys just running around nonstop on YouTube anymore. Quarterback scrambles behind the line of scrimmage will lose stamina at a faster rate, so you're not going to be able to just run around forever. As I just said, fixed an exploit where players would leave a quarterback contained player unblocked and run around them. Obviously, just an AI issue there that's being fixed. Increase the reward players receive for shading inside or outside correctly in man coverage versus passing routes. Okay, so this is, again, they're showing you you're going to be rewarded for you're going to be rewarded for knowing what's going on and having the correct alignment whenever it comes to man coverage. So that'll be good for people who know what's going on further than it just being the video game. Adjusted false start chances when you make pre-play adjustments late in the play clock. So we don't see that very often now, but I'm sure that's going to be something that happens slightly more often. Fixed an issue where run fit defenders were not responding as effectively to wildcat run plays. So we'll see this affect some of those that deuce wildcat that we saw out of Kansas State's playbook and a couple and Oregon's playbook. Those will sounds like the unbalanced motion plays will be less effective now. Reduce the effectiveness of multiple laterals in a single play. So those buggy laterals that you see, that's going to be fixed now, which is great, especially if you're playing online. Adjusted the threshold required to receive the most effective juke and spin moves. Adjusted press animations to be more of an effective counter to the takeoff ability. Updated pass protection mechanics to only include the running back in the protection if they are already on a block or a block and release assignment. And then we've got some ability updates. Updated the coloring of platinum tier abilities to further distinct the look between that and silver abilities. This is obviously just a quality of life update, which is fantastic because it was difficult to tell the difference between platinum and silver unless you really looked for it. Rebalance the gold and platinum tiers of the juke and spin abilities like 360 and sidestep. So 360 is what everybody's been seeing Quinshot Judkins just absolutely ruin people's lives. And so it looks like that's been fixed where you're going to have stamina run out faster. Did it fix the wear and tear thing? Because none of my wasn't showing any wear and tear. I think wear and tear. So here down here towards the bottom, we're about to get to that in Dynasty. Fixed an issue where wear and tear did not recover for FCS teams, resulting in a high number of FCS team injuries during gameplay. I am almost positive that there's more wear and tear later on down the road, but we'll get to that in just a second. Rebalanced the platinum tier of the extended ability, which includes not firing on quarterback design run plays. Slightly rebalanced the effectiveness of gold and platinum tiers of the quick jump ability. Additionally, we made adjustments to the tier levels found on the Texas front seven. So we're going to pretty much whenever you were playing as Texas, their defensive end was pretty well unblockable, made them really difficult to play against. And so it sounds like that's been adjusted. Dynasty fixes. All right. This is one where I'm probably going to spend a little more time. Fixed an issue where players were unable to have more than 20 created coaches at one time in an online Dynasty league. So we should be able to get the full 32 now instead of just 20. So that's great news. Various fixes from around score summaries and box scores. Various fixes for news stories. Introduced a new playoff bracket screen, which is beautiful, by the way, if you haven't seen it. Looks really, really good. Updated Texas and Oklahoma rivalry data. Awesome. They had Texas winning the last Red River rivalry in a close one, and every time that you would play them in a play now or first year of the dynasty, that would be brought up, and it was irking people, obviously, in my part of the woods. So that's a good fix. Discovered that FCS Southeast, Midwest, and Northwest were secretly using professional players and passing them off as collegiate players. Gave them sanctions and ensured they are now using properly rated players. That's hilarious. So they nerfed the FCS teams. So no more FCS teams beating Georgia pretty much every year. For this change to go into effect, you will need to create a new dynasty. So make sure you know that you're not going to see that change until a new dynasty is happened. So we've got fixed an issue where wear and tear did not recover for FCS teams. So you had those guys pretty much getting hurt on every play. Reduced dynamic attendance penalties for playing FCS teams. Increased dynamic attendance in rivalry games. So if you are just starting up a dynasty at a low tier program and you're playing a rivalry game, you're going to see more people in the stands. So that's great. Retune the toughest places to play formula to reduce the impact the large stadiums have on toughest places to play and increase the value of filling the stadiums and winning games at home historically. So reduced impact on raw crowd size, increased impact on historical win rate, increased impact of attendance rate. So um, essentially, if you have a very good historical win rate, you're going to have a better, tougher, a better score in toughest places to play, and you'll have the same positive effect with your attendance rate. So it's less about being having 105,000 in there, and then it is having 80,000, but they're winning games there constantly. If that makes sense, just because 100,000 people show up to the big house doesn't make it as hard to play there as it is maybe um, in a place like Athens. So that's a good update. Love that one. Updated right hand panel of stadium atmosphere graded on my school screen to accurately reflect the toughest places to play at all times. So, again, just another quality of life update there. Increase the acclamation of pride stickers, particularly for defensive players and offensive linemen. So, this is essentially your uh, stickers like at Ohio State with the Buckeye stickers. You're going to see more of those um, coming on, so that'll be good. Reduce the chance to transfer penalty for players rated below 90 overall. Updated coach talents on Wyoming offensive coordinator. For this change to go into effect, you will need to create a new dynasty. So it's sounding like a lot of these dynasty fixes, at least on some of the bigger issues, you're going to have to start a new dynasty for those to work. Um, Defensive schemes and playbooks for the following teams have been updated. Again, you'll need to create a new one, but USC, UCLA, Mississippi State, Texas Tech, UConn, Miami, Memphis, Nevada, North Carolina, Notre Dame, Oregon State, San Jose State, TCU, Texas A&M, Troy, and UMass all have had their defensive schemes and playbooks updated. Updating your coach's playbook in the schemes and playbook screen will now update your team scheme and should be reflected in team needs. So that was just a bug where if you tried to update that, it would not. It essentially it wouldn't save. So that's been fixed now. Fixed an issue where offensive linemen would appear in the preseason Heisman Watch in future seasons. Updated the Heisman Watch logic to reduce the value of receiving touchdowns. Recruiting. DevNote, our primary goal for this update were to remove most of the recruiting strategies that were discovered during early access and to smooth out the pain points our players were reporting. Recruiting is a delicate balance. We want to try and make things as realistic as possible while also allowing players to live out their football fantasies. With that in mind, we decided to introduce the additional recruiting logic and balance changes. Fixed an issue where teams were pursuing too many quarterbacks in high school recruiting. Reduce the number of unrecruited 4 and 5 stars early in the season. Okay, so you're not going to be able to just go and steal 4 and 5 stars after they weren't offered in week 1. So that's going to be changed. Increase the number of players that the AI will pursue at one time. So you'll have more teams going after more players. So it's going to be, it'll be more difficult, it sounds like. So it says the dev notes on that say the above changes strive to decrease. It got cut off there, it looks like. So essentially, it sounds like recruiting is going to be a little more difficult now. So we'll see how that looks. Fixed an issue where you cannot schedule visits from recruits in certain situations. So the recruiting bug for visits after your top 5 has been fixed. Thank goodness. Lots of people lost out on big recruits because of that. Fixed an issue where a visit remained scheduled even if a recruit was removed from the board. Fixed an issue where they allowed the number of visits scheduled for a week to exceed 4. So you can only have 4 visits at a time now. So that'll be something that you have to deal with. Tuned visit influence effect removed initial influence when scheduling a visit. Increased disparity between winning and losing a game during a visit. Tune the logic for game stakes to better account for ranked teams. Increase the penalty for choosing a visit activity that the team does not have a high grade in or the player is not interested in. So if you choose a visit activity and you're trying to get a guy late in the cycle and you're just guessing at what his activity is going to be, and you get it wrong, you're going to be penalized more heavily now. Uh, Increased handoff rate for simulated RPOs to increase the number of running plays across the country, especially for teams with a lot of RPOs in their playbook. So this is where you're going to see more realistic. You're going to see more realistic rushing stats. I think I saw Bordeaux uh, had posted something on that where the leading rusher was Ollie Gordon with just over 2,100 yards, and beforehand it was I think you had sometimes your leading rusher in a season would be like 900 yards. So that's good. Like that, obviously more realistic. Super Sim, excuse me, various tuning fixes to increase the gap between good and bad teams and players. We're going to continue to monitor the simulation results to ensure that teams and players are performing within expected ranges, including reducing frequency of upsets based on preseason projections and expected win totals. So less likely that Boston College is going to be playing you in the college football playoff is what I gather from that. No offense to the Eagles, but polls increase the loss penalty for schools with more than one loss, increase the weighing of conference prestige in the poll calculations, reduced variance in college football playoff poll logic and versus the media and coaches. As with other systems mentioned above, we will continue to monitor the polls. So essentially, what they're getting at there, the dev notes are saying they're going to continue looking. They're going to continue watching to see how the community is reacting to some of this stuff, and those will be adjusted accordingly. We will continue to monitor feedback about custom conferences and scheduling. Based on this feedback, we will plan to continue making adjustments in future title updates. So for custom conferences and custom schedules, fixed an issue in conference rules where divisions were being changed to off, even if those divisions were previously turned on. Fixed an issue where the independence tab disappeared when removing all teams from independence. Addressed UI issues around the conference title game for the CUSA and Pac 12 title games. Addressed UI issues around dynasty team selection UI, appropriately respecting custom conference moves. And it updated text in the team header on the custom schedule screen. So if you move player, or if you're moving teams conferences, they're going to reflect that with some of the graphics now. So it sounds like that has been fixed. All right, we've got even more to go through down here. Road to Glory updates. It added an additional scenario and NIL content, fixed rare issues where you'd get a scenario reward screen that did not align with your received bonus, fixed an issue where users were getting skill points maxed out after completing a practice, fixed a crash when quitting a position battle, reworked wear and tear UI to show position appropriate rating impacts. So there is your answer on the wear and tear issue. It appears that they have fixed the issues where you are. They have fixed the issue where you're not seeing that show up, so that's good. So this is essentially if your offensive linemen are banging helmets pretty much every play as they do. Uh, um, well, I guess concussions aren't technically in the game, but you get what I'm saying. It's more position appropriate whenever they lose ratings. It's going to be more position appropriate than it was beforehand. Fixed an issue where you cannot equip a mental ability during the Return to Glory player creation flow if you enter a setting menu during creation. Fixed an issue where meter mental progress is not tracked during bye weeks. Fixed an issue where it is impossible to lose coach trust once you reach max coach trust. Fixed a UI issue related to display of coach trust when user is close to max coach trust. So just a lot of adjustments around coach trust. Fixed an issue where you cannot upgrade your player during bye weeks. This was one that was pretty popular issue that's been fixed now, so that'll be great. Fixed an UI issue related to display of weekly energy on the meter screens. So pretty much a lot of the UI issues that we saw on Road to Glory, those have been fixed. College Football Ultimate Team generating best lineup no longer changes your quick visuals and playbook, so that's great. It's just going to change what players are best. So love that. Player portraits will no longer appear on non-player items after filtering or sorting. Fixed a crash that occurred during kickoff at halftime when playing champs. Attributes on the front of a player's item should update correctly after a player item has been upgraded. Fixed an issue that was occurring. So that one in particular, with the Malik Neighbors card, there were the ultimate team upgrades that you could have. A lot of times you would upgrade and have him go from an 80 to I believe like an 83 after a couple of updates, and it wouldn't show up the first time through, and now it will. So okay, so here is now the full blog post. We can actually go through the full blog post here. Where were we? Okay, ultimate team. Fixed an issue that was occurring when highlighting the renamed team tiles on the UT hub. If you guys want to see anything in particular, just let me know and I will scroll back up and take a look at that as well. Fixed an issue with squads 3v3 that prevented two users from being able to connect to the same game. Fixed an issue with the orientation pack that was preventing new users from being able to upgrade their lineup and progress through the field pass. Fixed an issue on the player profile screen that prevented users from being able to transition within the profile selections. Removed the green gavel icon that appeared on owned items in the auction house. Fixed a crash with house rules. Mostly just UI stuff here. Presentation. So these will be just kind of the things that you get to see in game. Added new uniforms for Baylor, Oregon, Iowa State, Ole Miss, Vanderbilt, Bowling Green, Northwestern, UTEP, Boise State, New Mexico State, App State, Texas State, Louisiana, New Mexico, and South Alabama. Adjusted uniform pieces for the 2024 season. So the new look uniforms that just got released by these teams, those will now be reflected with TCU, Arkansas, Missouri, and Baylor. Various improvements made to team uniform pieces for authenticity. So essentially, they updated or upgraded the way that the uniforms look. All right, here's some of the bigger ones. Updates have been made to the following stadiums. So we've all seen the Texas State meme. They finally got their second tier. So congratulations to the Bobcats. Holiday Bowl at Texas State. Kansas, you've seen Kansas's new stadium has the new light fixtures. Looks really awesome. That'll be a fun one to play. Kennesaw State, Oklahoma State, Wake Forest, UL Monroe. So those all have updated stadiums now. Fixed an issue where the USC mascot would have disappeared during the opening ceremony. Fixed an issue where the incorrect mascot would appear during different situations. So this one in particular, it seemed like the Clemson Tiger would show up a lot, just in random places. I remember playing against Tulsa as OU in a non-conference game, and the Clemson Tiger showed up on the sideline. So looks like that's been fixed. Restored opening chance for Penn State, FSU, and Tennessee. So if you are playing against Penn State, Florida State, or Tennessee, or you're playing as one of those teams, you will hear those chants to open up the game if you're playing on Series S now. So that'll be good. And then road to CFP, tier rebalances and reconstruction changes have been formatted from 3 tiers to 5 tiers. So you now have 5 tiers in road to CFP instead of 3. So huge update. Lots of big time updates, lots of things that you've all been asking for. We've all been asking for. Dynasty really got hit with a lot of big updates, so that's huge. And what I will do today, I'm going to hop on at some point and test all these new things out, and kind of maybe whenever Joe and I hop on tomorrow, we'll have a little more for you as far as what we think of the new update. From what I've seen, what everybody has had to say on Twitter and pretty much just across the board is that this has helped the game out tremendously. And really, that's all it was. It was just quality of life updates that needed to be happen. Really, at the end of the day, the game itself was still incredible when it came out, right? But if they wouldn't have released the game when it did, obviously we would have had to wait a lot longer. And these fixes are really allowing the game to be what it was intended to be whenever it was released. So now you're going to kind of get a chance to see a lot of these people who've done their reviews of the game. It's time to kind of go back and look at this from another perspective now that the game has been quote unquote fixed. So, really exciting, really good stuff. Appreciate you guys that hopped on to watch. Please, if you are not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. You guys help me out so much by doing that. We are just getting this channel rolling, but absolutely love this, making this content for you guys. And before I hop off here, if you have any questions, I'll give you guys about a minute to get those questions in, and then we will go ahead and close this thing down and start getting into some of the content for ourselves. All right, guys, really appreciate you. We'll be on again soon, and make sure you're hollering at me over the channel. We'll get on and play, and we'll chop it up. So get over there and uh, hit me up on the channel, and we will talk to you guys soon.